Guardians. My name is Sorrowsong, or at least that's what they call me on the forums, and today I'm here to talk to you about weapon or damage, what it is and what it isn't. Now, keep in mind that this information is current as of the 2.0 patch. This may change in the Rise of Iron expansion, but probably not. If they do not change the formulas, then this information will carry over into the Rise of Iron expansion. Now, damage is broken down into two parts. The first is ability damage. Ability damage, that is to say your grenades, your super, and your melee, that damage is based purely on the overall, or your overall light level. As this number goes up, your grenades will do more damage, your super will do more damage, and your melee will do more damage. Again, it's based purely on this number, up to a cap, and I'll explain the cap later. Weapon damage is a little bit harder to quantify. Now I'm going to go out here and die to these enemies to try to show you what I mean. In the upper right hand corner of the screen it says recommended light of 280. That is the recommended light level for this encounter, and it acts as a gating mechanism in interaction with your current overall light level. I'm currently 8 light levels below the recommended light for this encounter. For every 5 light below the recommended light for that encounter, you will do 15% less damage to enemies, and your enemies will do 15% more damage to you. So if I was 270, that is 10 light below the encounter, I would be doing only 70% of my maximum damage, and I would be taking 130% of the enemy's base damage. Now, let's see what happens as I raise this number. For this test, I'm going to be using exact copies of the same weapon. That is the Devil You Know. It's the exact same weapon. So that's the Year 1 and Year 2 version. Now, 1,161 damage with a headshot. Now I'm going to raise my light. Now I am over the light level for the encounter. Raise my light by 8, and 1,505 damage. So, now that I am at the recommended light level for this encounter, let's see what happens when I go even higher. I'm at 312. So I raised my light level by, 10 or so, and I ended up doing 400 more damage. And I raised it up by 20, and I'm still doing 1,505 damage. Why? Because your weapon damage is based purely upon the attack stat of that particular weapon that you're using. Once you hit the recommended light for that encounter, adding any additional light does not change your weapon damage in the slightest. It's all based on the attack stat of this weapon. Now I'm going to go to 335 here and bring it back down. And let's see what happens. So my light has really not changed, but I'm now doing 7,382 as a 314. I'll bring it all the way back up. 334. Exact same amount of damage. So up to the cap, for every 1 additional point of attack you have on your weapon, you gain an additional 0.7% damage. Up to the cap. Now what's the cap? The cap varies by encounters. For most encounters that you're in, that cap is 40 light or 40 attack. That is to say, once you are, or rather 40 attack and 100 light. That is to say, once you are 100 light over the recommended level for that encounter, your abilities will not do any more damage. That is why you can't walk into a Cosmodrome patrol and one-hit kill a Vandal with a melee most of the time, because your light hits that cap. For this encounter, the recommended light is 280. That means the cap is 320, 40 light over the encounter. So my weapons stop doing additional damage in this particular encounter at 320. that really does it for weapon damage and ability damage, Guardians. So just keep in mind that this number only directly affects or directly buffs your ability damage. Grenades, melee, and super. It acts as a ratio upon the recommended light for that particular encounter that you're in. Once you hit that recommended light, this does not buff your weapon damage in the slightest. It all comes down to the attack stat on that particular weapon that you're using at the time. With each additional point of attack on that weapon doing 0.7% damage up to the cap. The cap usually being 40 light over that particular encounter. Now, you know you've hit the cap if when you shoot someone in the body, the number is displayed in gray. This number is displayed in gray. That means I've hit the cap for this encounter, and no matter how much more I raise the attack on this weapon, it won't do any more damage. You know that you are below the cap if the body shot damage is in white. That's it for me, Guardians. Until next time, eyes up.